this is Janet with Try It Like It Created, and today we're going to be making a fall card, a Halloween card, a Thanksgiving card. You can decide on the theme because we're going to leave it rather generic. But I just want to show you what we're working with before I get started. I have two colors of distressed oxide. I have Vintage Photo and Ripe Persimmon. Then we're going to be using some of these gems, and then I've got two brushes for blending. I've got the two pieces that come with the SVG file that I'm going to share with you for free. I have this barnwood background for my card, and I will share the file for printing that out. And then I have what's called an Embellie jelly, and it picks up the gemstones. So I am just working on this scrap piece of orange, and I'm going to bring in my ripe persimmon, and I'm going to go around the edges of this die cut piece just to give it a little bit of depth around the outside. You can skip this step. You could do as much or as little as you want, and depending on the piece of orange paper you're using, that would make a difference too. So the cardstock that I'm using for this project is coming from CutCardStock, and this is a project for their design team. So we're just, there we go. Okay, so we've toned the edges of that. I'm going to set that aside, and the ink and the brush for that set aside. I'm going to bring in the next one, and this is the card front, and I am going to tone the edges of this with the Vintage Photo. So let me just grab some of that and pounce off to the side, and then I am just going to darken up the four edges of the card, and then we're going to be ready to put the whole piece together. And the blending, you could choose not to do this. I'm just doing it to add a little bit of extra dimension because I like the look. Alright, so let's see if we need any more. Maybe just a little bit on this folded edge here. And I think that will do it for us. Okay, so I'm going to put the scrap piece of paper away, close up the Vintage Photo, and my brush, set that aside, and then we're ready to start gluing this together. So I'm going to bring in my round piece of brown or bronze cardstock, and I'm going to just glue the back of that and glue it on in place on the front of my card. So just like that. And then I'm going to bring in the orange circle part and just spread some glue on that as well. And you don't need a lot. This bright orange that I'm working with is a lighter weight than the bronze metallic paper. So it really doesn't need quite as much to hold it in place. But I love the blending of the persimmon and the orange together. I think that's just really dynamic. All right, and now all we have to do is add our gems. And for this, I'm just going to put a little drop of glue in each of these circles, and then we're going to be done with this card. And the reason I'm going to leave it sentiment free is to allow you to make a decision as to how you would use the card. The other thing I did was the pumpkins that were cut out. I saved those, and I can show them to you here. I have some of them, and I think that we'll probably put one of those on the inside as well. All right, so now I'm just ready to pick up my gems and get them stuck in place on the card. These gems can be a little fidgety, and so I wanted to make sure that they were all facing upward before I started working on the card, because getting them to turn over sometimes is more difficult than picking them up. So I just wanted to make sure that they were all facing the same direction and they were ready to be attached. So I don't know if that's a little tip that will help you or not. See, this one turned upside down on me, and then, okay. Luckily, I could flip it quickly. All right. So there we are. We're going to call that, for the most part, finished, except for adding that small pumpkin to the inside of the card, which I think we might do just right down there. But for an added look, I'm going to bring this scrap back in, and I'm going to bring my brush and my right persimmon distressed oxide, and I'm going to just try to go around the edge of this little pumpkin to give it some depth. You could go ahead and draw on it. You could, color it. You could add lines to it. Do whatever works for you visually. I think that's just what I'm going to do, is just give it a little bit of distressed look and stick that guy down in the corner. So there we go.